Hi everyone, my name is Ben Lucas and this tutorial is for Tuts Plus. Today I'm going to show you how to create a Hobbit-Sized illusion. In the movie, there were 4 different ways that they created the Hobbit-Sized illusion. First, there's compositing, simply putting each actor on a green screen and putting them together in post-production. Secondly, they used big rigs. They had a stilt walker basically wearing a large person walking around making the main actors look smaller. Third, they had stunt doubles, which was simply using appropriately sized people. And fourth, the one we're going to talk to you about today, is forced perspective. Forced perspective is simply putting one actor farther away from the camera to make them look smaller than the other actor. I'm going to show you how to do that today, but I'm going to show you how to take it one step up and really pull off the illusion just like they did in the movie.
Let's talk about the mechanics of forced perspective. A hobbit is 3/4 the size of a human. What this means is that the human needs to be 3/4 closer to the camera than the hobbit. Now there are 2 ways to calculate that. First, you can take the distance of the human, multiply it by 1.3 and get the distance of the hobbit. Or you can take the distance of the hobbit, multiply that by 0.75 and you'll find the distance of our human. Let me give you some examples. If our human is 10 feet away from the camera, multiply by 1.3, and your hobbit needs to be 13 feet away from the camera. If your hobbit is 8 feet away from the camera, like we have in this example, then multiply by 0.75, and you'll find that your human has to be 6 feet away from the camera. While using this in addition to our split rig, you can get both actors to look bigger and smaller respectively, while all the items on the table look the same size.
Let me show you the real secret to forced perspective. This is what we call a split rig. I created duplicate sets of duplicate items. The only difference is they are in different sizes. We have a small set over here and a large set over here. Now what that does is our camera for our final photo is over there. So I put the small items closer to the camera. On a normal table, when you have items going back in distance, the items would look smaller and smaller as they get farther away from the camera. By making a small set and a large set, here we have a tangerine, here we have an orange, as well as a small espresso cup versus a normal sized cup. By putting the small rig in front and the big rig in back, it lessens that depth by creating larger ones in the back so it all looks the same size, which compresses it. This space in the middle that we have is going to make our actors look bigger and smaller, but it's not going to make any of the items on the table look bigger and smaller. This table here versus this table here, this is a smaller size. Visually in camera, I lined up this edge with that edge, as well as this edge with this edge, even though you can see those edges aren't lined up. But the camera will see perfect edges going all the way down. You won't even see this seam in the middle because I have it raised on some books. To reinforce that, when this actor is next to a large cup, they look smaller. When that actor looks next to a small cup, they look bigger. So all of these things, as well as the distance, are going to reinforce that we really do have a 3/4 sized hobbit. All right, now we have our 2 actors. We have our wizard and our hobbit. Here we have the small table up front and the big table in back. Just to show you that we're not tricking you, can you put your hand right in the middle there? You see your hand disappear like that? That's because we still have the gap that I showed you in the split rig. Go ahead and slowly raise it. One of the keys here is you can't let anything from the back half of the table cross that visual line. If anything crosses that line, including a shadow from the plate, then you're going to see that part disappear and you'll notice the seam. As long as none of the items on our back table cross that visual line, then it'll sell the illusion. Next thing is eye line. If your actors look at each other really quickly, if your actors look at each other, you can tell that they're different distances and it ruins the illusion. What you want them to do is pick a spot on the wall right in front of them and it will look like they're visually on the same plane, as you can see now. Next thing I want to talk about is camera settings. You want to have a very deep aperture. You want to have a lot of depth of field in your photo. If you use a shallow aperture, what's going to happen is you're only going to be able to get a limited amount in focus. If you focus on our wizard, then our hobbit is going to fall out of focus. And because people know an out of focus part is usually closer or farther away, it's going to ruin the illusion. You want to make sure everything from the front of the table to the back where the things are here and our hobbit are all in focus. So I set mine here to f9. You can compensate your ISO and your shutter speed based on the lighting you have in the room. You just want to make sure you have good depth of field to keep everything in focus. Here you can see our finished photo using the forced perspective technique. I'm Ben Lucas, and this tutorial was brought to you by Tuts Plus. Thanks for watching.